Alright, strap in everyone, because today we are fighting Gleeoks. Now there are 4 types of Gleeoks in Tears of the Kingdom. Flame, Frost, Thunder, and King, which is a combination of the first 3. And each type has 8,000 health points. Gleeoks have an initial attack in which they fire an elemental beam at you. So fire for flame, ice for frost, lightning for thunder, and a mix of all 3 for the King Gleeok. Once you damage it enough, it'll start flying way up in the air, where it performs its secondary or aerial attack. Flame Gleeok shoots a big fireball down at you that catches everything on fire. Frost Gleeok will shoot these ice shards down. The Thunder Gleeok shoots lightning, which creates little thermals. And the King Gleeok, again, is a combination of all 3. Now to get up there and actually finish the Gleeok, you could ride one of the thermals created by the lightning strikes with your paraglider. You could use recall and ride one of the ice shards all the way up there. But in all honesty, this is way too much work. What we want to do is fight it from the air before it does its initial attack and keep it on the ground. One way to approach a Gleeok from above is to use sky islands or towers. Now a lot of the Gleeoks will have a sky island above them or close above them, or a tower near them where you can easily paraglide in or skydive in, use your bow, and shoot it before it ever even starts its initial attack. Another way is to use a rocket shield and hop up in the air and shoot it with your bow before it ever gets a chance to attack you. You can also use a vehicle of some type to get up above the Gleeok and attack from there. When we're ready to attack, we want to attach Keese eyeballs of the opposite element type to the Gleeok to our arrows to knock it down. Once it's on the ground, we'll use a combination of weapons, armor, mods, and sages to finish the Gleeok before it can ever fly up in the air. Now, if we don't do enough damage during that phase, we can use a rocket shield to jump up in the air, attack it with our Keese arrow, causing it to fall back down to the ground, and finish it off that way. The whole point is, we don't want to see the Gleeok do this. This is what we want to avoid. So let's look at our plan of attack. We're going to start our attack from the air above the Gleeok, and we're going to do it at an angle that minimizes any exposure to the Gleeok's attack. We're going to want a multi-shot bow with elemental Keese eyes to attach to our arrows. We're going to want a weapon armor mod combo that deals good damage, and we're going to want a rocket shield to potentially escape or to jump up and pursue it if it starts to fly. But most importantly, we want to keep it on the ground. So let's look at some build options. This first build I'm calling the Wet Bone build. This is all based around the Bone Weapon Proficiency perk that comes on 2 sets of armor. The first one is the Radiant set. You can see right there under set bonus, Bone Weapon Proficiency. The second set is the Evil Spirit set. It's got the same set bonus as the Radiant set, Bone Weapon Proficiency. So use whichever one you have. For a bow, we're going to want a multi-shot bow. 5-shot lino bow, if you have it, is great. We're also going to need a rocket shield or a couple of them. If you've never used a rocket shield before, all you have to do is take out a rocket, fuse it right to the shield, and then when you pull out your shield to block, you're going to shoot right up in the air. For our sword, we're going to be using a pristine Zora longsword with an attack up +10 modifier. And we're going to fuse that with a Molduga Jaw. And this is where the Bone Weapon Proficiency perk on our armor is going to come into use. Now Zora weapons, as you can see on the last line, it yields high attack power when it gets wet. Now one way to get wet is to throw a splash fruit at your feet, and you'll see it doubles the damage from 59 to 118 just for the sword. For food, we're going to need a 3 attack up meal. This is 4 bananas plus a dragon horn, gets you 30 minutes. 5 bananas gets you 4 minutes and 10 seconds. For sages, we're going to want Tulin to help us maneuver over the Gleeoks, and Sidon, as his water wall or his water bubble is another way for us to get wet and get that Zora weapon damage boost. So now with all this put together, we'll be doing 669 damage per hit to the head of a Gleeok. Now the last things we're going to need, splash fruit, which is just a backup way to get wet in case Sidon's not next to you. And we're going to need some elemental Keese eyeballs as our first point of attack with our bow. These also cause the arrow to track directly to the head of the Gleeok, so they're very useful. Let's look at a couple examples. There's a Frost Gleeok in the Tabantha Snowfield, right above the Snowfield stable. It kind of does this figure 8 flight pattern around these columns. So I'm going to use a rocket shield, jump up in the air, go into bullet time, attach some fire Keese eyeball to my arrow, and I usually shoot it 3 times, mostly because, as you can see, it does a lot of damage. But it guarantees that the Gleeok's going to fall to the ground. Now we're going to grab Sidon's water wall, which is going to give us that Zora weapon boost, and start swinging. And you'll see there's a few times here where I hit 2 heads at once, which actually doubles the damage and makes super quick work of this Gleeok. Here's another example. On this island above the Geraldo Desert, there's a King Gleeok. And again, I'm going to use a rocket shield, jump up in the air, and use Tulin to kind of get a little bit closer. Now for King Gleeoks, I usually like to attach a combo of ice and fire Keese eyeballs to my arrows. We're just going to fire those. Gleeok is going to fall to the ground, start running, and Sidon's nowhere to be found. So, quick decision, let's just throw a splash fruit at our feet. And that is going to get us wet and give us that Zora weapon bonus damage. Then just start swinging, just hold down that attack button. And this Gleeok never really stood a chance. And again, Sidon wasn't near us, so just take a splash fruit, throw it right at the feet. That gets us wet and gives us that Zora weapon damage boost. Those first 2 examples went pretty perfectly. We were able to get wet using Sidon or a splash fruit, and we were able to land all our shots. But let's look at a few where things don't go so perfectly. So in this example, I'm shooting ice Keese eyeballs at the Gleeok, but I'm a little too close, so I get frozen. Now Sidon's a little far away, and I'm a little slow getting back into position, but we'll start swinging anyway. Now the Gleeok's head actually moves, so missed some shots. So put the sword away, use the rocket shield, jump up, and we'll just finish it off using the arrows. So here it may have been better to just throw a splash fruit at my feet rather than trying to hunt down Sidon. Here's a second build we could use. I'm calling the Geraldo Barbarian build. I'm using the Barbarian armor set, which gives us an attack up modifier. There's several armor sets that do this as well, so whatever you got will work. For weapon, I'm using a pristine Geraldo Claymore with the durability up plus modifier. I prefer the durability one instead of attack up because the Geraldo weapons have really low durability. What they also do is double the fuse attack power of whatever's attached to them. So we're going to use a silver Lionel Saberhorn, and we're going to fuse that to the Claymore. The Lionel Horn has 55 fuse attack power, so that doubles to 110, plus the base damage of the weapon gives us 132. Now you multiply in our attack up from our armor and for headshots, and we get 417 per hit to the head of a Gleeok. And for sages, we're just going to use Tulin. So this example is going to be pretty sloppy and on purpose, just to show what options we have when things go wrong. So already we can see we're at a bad angle. We're coming in at a bad attack angle. We're too low. At this height, the Gleeok can attack us. It can shoot us, which happens right here. It's going to continue to attack. We need to evade that. But what we want to do is jump up in the air. Use that rocket shield, go into bullet time, shoot it with some peace eyes. Now you'll see right here I do a running swing attack and get completely out of rhythm. But that's okay. We'll just start winding up, get some shots in. I've damaged it to a point where it's going to want to fly up in the air, which we want to avoid. So we'll grab another rocket shield. It's always a good idea to have a few with you. And we'll pop up in the air as quickly as we can before that Gleeok gets high enough that it starts its aerial attack. And we'll just finish it off with the bow and arrow. Another weapon option for this build would be the Scimitar of the Seven, fused with a silver Lionel Saberhorn. Now since it's a Garuda weapon, it does double the fused attack power of the horn, and with the attack up on our armor, we're doing about 414 per hit to the head. There's a flame Gleeok that sits right in the middle of the bridge of Hylia, and I'm going to use the Poplar Foothills tower as my approach point. And I'm going to use the glide suit for this. Just makes it easier to get into place. Alright, so we'll go ahead and switch back to the Barbarian armor set. And now just try to move into position to where I can drop down right in front of it without it noticing. So right about there, go into bullet time, we shoot some ice keys arrows. I'm going to do a charged attack and then some single hits, just so you can see what kind of damage it does. Now the Gleeok's going to start to stand up again, so we're going to use that rocket shield, jump back up, and finish it off with the arrows. So these are the basics on how I fight Gleeoks. I hope it's useful to you. I hope you can take some of these ideas and techniques and builds and try it out for yourself. Now, I do have a few more examples of some of the more unique Gleeoks in Tears of the Kingdom, and I'll just let those play. So if you want to check those out, please do. Otherwise, thank you, and I will see you next time.